you received this document, and you were telling us how you have requested, prepared yourself and questioned some of your former secretaries and an old secretary in relation to the answer you gave the High Commissioner. So let me just ask you then, now we're back in open session, the former secretaries and so on to whom you approached to prepare yourself, can you identify those persons?
Microphone. I did not go to meet my secretaries to prepare myself. That is not what I said. What I said was this, Madam Prosecutor. When I was interviewed by your investigators, I no longer knew where I had put the answer to this letter. So I was not able to show that answer to them. But I showed them this other letter, if I remember correctly. Now, when I was informed that I would come here, and I was preparing to come here, I did everything possible to find my answer, which I prepared to this letter from the High Commissioner. So I consulted all my secretaries, my former secretaries at SECOS and the École de Gendarmerie. So one of them, in their archives, found a copy of my answer, and I confirmed that it was precisely what I had written. And I would like to reiterate, I read that answer again this morning before coming here. It was well written, well documented, detailed, and providing information to the High Commissioner, who was not aware of the situation in SECOS and in the École de Gendarmerie. And I was very courteous in that letter. Immediately after that, I received an answer from the High Commissioner, a team of 4 or 5 human rights experts of ONUC in Abidjan came to meet me at the school. We had exchanges, and we stayed in contact for a good part of the crisis. We informed them what was being done and so on. So they tried to follow us to see what we were doing during a good part of the crisis.
Okay, we have the response. I'll show it to you in a moment, okay? The document that you have with you, is that the response, or is it another document that you read this morning?
It is the response that I sent to the High Commissioner, my own response to the High Commissioner.
Before we get to that, when you received the letter from the High Commissioner, what did you do in response to, once you received the letter?
Je l'ai lu, naturellement.
Of course, I read it.
Did you take any... This is a serious question. This is a serious question.
Oui, Madame le Procureur.
Yes, Counsel.
Did you take any steps, any action in response to that letter?
Quand j'ai reçu la...
When I received the letter and I read it, I did some research and then prepared my response. And before that, I asked one of my collaborators to find out about the facts alleged in the letter. I asked one of my collaborators to investigate the facts alleged in the letter.
Who did you ask to investigate?
Un capitaine
Answer. A captain from my staff. Captain Katibi.
This is the head of the division renseignement that we spoke about.
affirmatif.
Answer. Yes, indeed.
Did he write a report?
Je ne sais plus s'il a
Answer. I don't know whether he wrote a report. I can't remember, but the problem is that he conducted some investigations and he reported back to me, initially verbally, that many things that were said herein were not observed out on the ground. Many things that were said in that document were not observed out in the field. That's what he said to me after having investigated for a number of days.
Receive a written report from him?
Je crois pas.
Answer. I do not believe so. But at the same time, we were in a very delicate period. And when he gave me this verbal report, we had gone off on another terrain, and there was another preoccupation. The crisis had worsened in February, March.
And in relation to the 16 December events, apart from this request of Katibi to conduct some investigations, did you initiate any other investigations into the events of 16 December?
Je n'avais aucune raison.
Answer. I had no reason to do so. I was not responsible for all of the operations there. I had no reason to do so. The police was responsible for those operations, and the police has judicial police units. And the men that we place at the disposal of the police work under the authority of the police commissioners of those locations where they have gone to intervene.
So to understand correctly, the request of Katibi, was it to conduct investigations into the conduct of SECOS elements? All of the SECOS elements that were engaged on the 16th December? Is that the request you made of Katibi, or?
Non, madame.
This is the correspondence and the alleged facts contained in the correspondence.
I'll ask you to look then at your response, please. It's at page 0315. Did you conduct any other inquiry related to the 16 December events? Just before we look at this, any other inquiry?
Quel genre d'enquête?
Answer. What type of inquiry?
So let's just look. It's the 11th of January 2011. Is this the letter that you read this morning?
Donnez-moi la totalité.
Answer. Well, give me the totality, please.
Hand a hard copy. I think that's probably preferable. It's just to be clear. It's item 123, and we have a hard copy. If that could just be passed over just to the page, the relevant page 0315. Just those pages, 315, please, to 317. Just pages 315 to 317, please.
The entire response.
Yes, it's just response, just not everything.
Yeah. The entire response. Maître Altit?
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Maître Altit, I thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I have a question. You will forgive me. I'm not entirely sure. The document, is it being shown publicly or is it confidential?
It's confidential so far.
Alors, à ce moment-là, Monsieur le Président.
Well, at that moment in time, Mr. President, could we request of the witness, this witness comes from him, whether he wants this document to be shown to the public, that it be public, or that it remain confidential?
Monsieur le témoin souhaite que ce soit public, monsieur.
Maître Gillissen, the witness would like for it to be public, Mr. President.
So we can make it public. It's his document, so I think...
This one isn't, and there is the recipient, the provider is I understand it's okay. So there we go. Thank you. Of course.
Is this a response? Is this your response to the letter we saw before of the UNHR?
Oui, Monsieur le Président.
Answer, yes, Mr. President.
Thank you. Madam Prosecutor?
I wanted to ask you, just in relation to the last page, page 0317. And the penultimate paragraph, I'll just read it, says, en tout état de cause.
Whatever the case may be, we have undertaken, in association with the military prosecutor's office, an internal administrative investigation on the various actions of our men during the events of the 16th of December 2010.
Can you help me with this, please? I want to understand what steps you took upon receipt of this letter. So did you undertake an internal administrative investigation in association with the military prosecutor's office on the actions of your men on the 16th
Yes,
December?
but the more you speak, the more it translates, and the more he listens, and the time is passing. So,
Is this something you did?
Je vous ai dit tout à l'heure.
Answer, I told you at an earlier stage that I instructed Captain Katibi to undertake research with regard to everything that is said in the correspondence from Madam High Commissioner. Then I approached the Commissioner of the Government to explain to him verbally, and he said he'll see about that because he is, after all, the military prosecutor. So the instructions that I gave to Captain Katibi was to investigate the facts.
Did you undertake an internal investigation in liaison with the military prosecutor's office, or did you not?
Moi, j'ai mis.
Answer, I conducted an investigation. I gave instructions to the cell who does investigations, but I told the parquet verbally over the telephone, and then it was the prosecutor's office to get on with the rest. But the internal investigation is not the prosecutor's office that conducts it. We are the ones to conduct it.
let me understand fully. Was there any written report established as a result of an investigation that was conducted, initiated by you?
Je répète,
Answer, let me repeat myself. The officer whom I requested to conduct investigations reported back to me verbally a few weeks later that everything that had been alleged herein, he could not discover anything out on the ground. And when I had that information in hand, then I stopped there. I cannot institute criminal or judicial proceedings against those concerned.
And to fully understand, in relation to your approach to the Commissioner of the government, this was a call? There was no written report? It's a phone call?
non, il n'y a pas de rapport écrit, je l'ai informé.
No, there was no written report. I informed him that I had received that document, but the administrative investigation that I launched, I was waiting for the results before telling him exactly what conduct to adopt. But as soon as I received a verbal report that was clear enough in nature, with the officer entrusted with this investigation saying that the alleged facts contained herein have not been verified out on the ground, then I brought it to a standstill. I didn't go any further.
We'll move on. Now, we've seen your letter that you received. Were you aware that there was a letter written also to Mr. Gbagbo, to Mr. Vagba Fosigno, and also to Mr. Bruno Blé Dogbo from the UN High Commissioner of Human Rights?
Answer. Well, I'm not going to choose who the High Commissioner has correspondence with. I have responded with regard to myself. I can't be in a position to know with regard to others.
If you are aware that also other people, the ones named by the prosecutor, received such a letter.
Non, Monsieur le Président.
Answer. No, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I'm going to move on. Now I'd like to show you another document. It's 00250162. For my friends, it's item 121. And we'll deal with this quickly. Headed Division Renseignement, 30th December 2010. Quote, à l'attention du général de division, commandant de le centre.
For the attention of the Major General, commander of the Security Operations Unit.
Did you receive this document?
Oui.
Answer, yes.
Prepared by whom?
la division renseignement.
Answer. To the SECOS Intelligence Division.
So would that be Dje Bi?
Affirmatif.
Answer. Yes, indeed. Yes.
Stay with this because we can move on. But just if I can quote, and you can confirm broadly the content thereafter, it states at the bottom that it relates to, quote, état des lieux des officiers.
A situation report for the officers whose turning over is not to be excluded.
So it's an investigation, is it, of FDS officers?
Non, madame.
Answer, no, ma'am, and I did not order this document. It's an investigation. It is what we refer to as a report. It is an initiative. He took this initiative with regard to everything that he observed to make such a report to the attention of his chief. It is up to his chief to either take account of this or not.
Leave it there. I'm going to move on, please. Now we go, we're going to go to the following year, 2011, January. 5th of January. I'm going to ask you to look at a video. I'd like, please, for the prosecution to take control of the evidence for the moment. It's 0064-0106. It's item 127, the video. There is an accompanying transcript. It's item 128. It is ERN 00880780. Now, we are short on time, so I'm going to keep the clip short. So I'm going to show 002427 to 002533. And at the transcript, that corresponds to lines 1 to 24.
No, wait a minute, please. They can't find it, which is nothing new, I would say.
We have a spare. We can just bring it to the door. We're ready with it.
Yes, do so, please. Otherwise.
This is from the interpreter, Mr. President. We have printed off several trees worth of transcripts, and we are rifling through them at high speed, trying to find it, and we have not found it. We do apologise. We do our very best. Thank you.
And it's coming up, and just for the interpreters to be aware, I'm going through the evidence in chronological order by date, and I will deal with the videos in chronological order by date.
Message from the interpreter. We now have it. Thank you.
So we can start. We can start with the clip.
The Minister of Defense and Civic Service is visiting these special units under his authority. Alain Gbagbo met this Wednesday the personnel of the Center of Command of Security Operations, the SECOS, and the report is being given by Alvor Assa. Welcoming the Minister of Defense and Civic Service, Alain Gbagbo, the General of Division Dje Bi, indicated that his men and he are by the side of the legal authorities established. We would like to assure you, Mr. Minister, of our entire availability to work under your orders and to execute everything that you will command us to do. We measure the extent of your responsibilities. That is why we have true conscience of our obligations to you with regard to the nation at this very moment, important moment in the history of our country.
Recall this occasion?
Oui.
Answer, yes.
Now, I want to ask you about some of the persons we see in the footage. Now, there are some other people later in the footage. I would ask that the court take it from me that I'm going to show some stills that appear on the rest of this footage rather than play the whole. There are just quite evidently stills from the footage to save time. If we can just go to item 247 on the list of material, it's 0097 0087, and I'm just going to show you some of the still images that were taken from the whole of this footage, just to ask you to identify some of the persons who appear. Right, so I think the evidence can go back to the registry. Thank you.
Evidence One channel now.
So this person, can you identify him?
Capitaine Anoman.
The witness, Captain Anoman Hugues.
And who is he?
C'est le capitaine Anoman.
Answer, this is Captain Anoma Hugues.
Ah, son poste. Il était.
Answer, his position. He was at the Dje Bi, and he also worked with the SECOS Sector 4.
Okay, next, it's item 248. It's number 0097-0088.
Excusez-moi.
Maître Altit, I do apologise.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Maître Altit, I thank you, Mr. President. I do apologise, my learned friend, for interrupting you. But, Mr. President, this has been said a number of occasions now that the beginning of the intervention has been inaudible. A number of instances, you will recall that we've had this problem since the outset, and really it's going to be very difficult for us to present our examination with missing parts. So maybe one of the ways of remedying this is to request our learned colleague that she slows down a little bit, because I believe that there is no other solution. But whatever the case may be, we have to be able to refer to complete transcripts.
The problem is always if the question arrives before the translation has ended, and I just want to say that now you have it in French, but when it's your turn, we have it in English. So it's a bilateral, a mutual problem. So I would just remind both of you of the 2-3 second rules. So I got with one stone, I got 2 targets. Please.
Okay, so just a couple more of these. Identify this person, please.
Le lieutenant-colonel Roubaix.
Answer, Lieutenant Colonel Robet, Police Commissioner.
Next is item 249 on the list of material 0097-0089. Can you identify this person?
Le chef d'escadron ABI.
Answer, Abbaye, Squadron Chief.
And finally, 00970097, it's item 251 on the list of material. Can you identify this person?
Le capitaine Nieba.
Answer, Captain Dje Bi,
Secteur 1 de ces postes.
Post Sector 1.
Thank you. That's it for those stills. I'm in Your Honour's hand. I was going to move to a new topic or carry on.
I think it's better for you to carry on.
Now, I want to move. We're staying in January 2011. You mentioned earlier in the last few days when you testified, transcript 138, you talked about 2 meetings with the President Mr. Gbagbo in 2011. You talked about a February meeting and you talked about a March meeting in 2011. And these were both at the Presidential Palace. So that's February and March. Now, I want to stay with you in January. So we're looking at before those meetings. Now, I'd like you to turn your mind, please, to the 11th of January, 2011. Were you aware of an FDS operation on that day in Abobo, PK-18, involving over 700 men?
Sans que je puisse
Answer, without myself being able to put dates to this with any specificity, the Chief of General Staff commanded an operation in Abobo that was given over with regard to the command out on the ground to one of the gendarmerie senior officers. I don't know whether this is one and the same operation. And the gendarmerie colonel was a former commander of the gendarmerie Abobo squadron. And I also believe that it was with this capacity, or in this capacity, and with his very perfect knowledge of the ground, that his senior commander and the Chief of General Staff designated him to head up this operation. If I can't put any dates on it, as I said, but if you think that that's the operation we're talking about, then let's go.
Indeed, it's 0045-1429. Perhaps we can just look at this and see if that helps you. It's tab 131 on the list of material. I'd ask, please, just to go straight to page 1431. Just take a moment to look. It's, for the record, a document dated 13th of January 2011. It is declared as its objet, quote, rapport de l'opération.
AIM report of the operation to make Abobo PK-18 secure. Reference Frago number 68.
All right, then you can see what the document says. Was this the operation you were talking about, or was it another operation?
Je crois que ce n'est pas la même opération.
Answer, I believe that it is not the same operation.
You aware of this operation?
Celle-là,
This one that is mentioned in the document, please?
là, j'ai pas
Answer, I am not aware of it, and I was not in any way associated with this operation.
Page 1429. I want to just check with you. Here I'm showing a document, just for the record, 31st January 2011, addressed to the DGPN. Objet, rapport de l'opération.
Report of the operation to secure Abobo PK-18.
If you look at the last paragraph, I won't read it. Were you aware of FDS casualties? Because you've spoken about that. FDS casualties as a result of any operation at this time?
Oui, j'ai le souvenir d'une opération.
Yes, I remember an operation, as I said a short while ago. And the conduct of that operation in the field was assigned to a senior gendarmerie officer. And that operation brought together all the detachments of the defense and security forces. And the operation ended with the death of a certain number of elements of the FDS. And at the time, we believed that the operation was a failure because the SEMA put an end to the operation. That is what I remember, but whether it's the same one or not, I cannot say.
Senior gendarmerie officer?
Le lieutenant
Lieutenant Colonel Dje Leopold.
I'd like you to look at another document, please, and Your Honour, I'll stop when you tell me.
Now go ahead on the
Thank you.
2-3 minutes.
All
Then
right.
we go to 3 o'clock.
Yep.
Now we go to 3 o'clock. We resume for the last 1 hour and a half, possibly extended to 2 hours, but that's it.
Right. Well, we'll be quickly going through this document then. It's 00710407. Now, take your time, please, just to look at this. Are you looking at the first page? In fact, we could turn over, please, to page 0408. You familiar with this document?
peut faire passer les autres pages s'il y en a.
And they move on to the other pages if there are other pages.
We could just move through the pages, and I would ask then to stop at page 0411 briefly. Right, if we could just stop at 0411. Now you can see at the top of 0411, says under the heading SECOS, you can see there's a reference to SECOS and a date from the 12th of January 2011. You familiar with another operation starting on the 12th January 2011?
Je ne peux pas vous dire avec précision, mais
I cannot tell you with any certainty, but it is particularly the person who directed the operation. If it is the operation directed by Lieutenant Colonel Gwe, then I would know. That is, if this is the same. But if it is a different operation, it is possible that other operations were carried out. And from the 4th of December, the situation started becoming very hostile. So it is possible that that operation took place.
The SEMA announced a curfew in Abobo on the evening of the 12th of January 2011, with effect from 7 p.m. that day.
le SEMA n'a pas compétence.
The SEMA does not have authority to impose a curfew.
Question, do you recall him announcing a curfew on the television on the 12th of January?
C'est possible.
It is possible.
Can we break there, Your
Yes, thank you. We come back at 3 o'clock. Thank you very much. Just to tell that we are over the 10 hours, right? We're beyond the 10 hours already.
Your Honour has the examination sheet, and Your Honour can see what else is coming up, and I will deal, because I summarised in that, so I will be as quick as I can.
All rise.